Yo, what's up, Chiefs Kingdom? It's 6 o'clock, Wednesday night, Kingdom time. You're in Kingdom Cast, episode 1. I'm your guy, Scott, joined as always by my two bros here, Bo and Nick. What's up, gentlemen?
Hello.
If you found your way into the show, drop us a comment. If you like it, click that subscribe button, share with your friends. We'd love to hear from you. You can always follow us on Twitter at KingdomCastPod. For updates, turn on your live notifications there to let you know when the show is going live. We're a new show. This is the first episode, so if we got some bugs or if it's a little, out of whack, be patient with us. We're amateurs.
There will be bugs.
There will be bugs. We like a cheap hotel. There will be bugs.
Like it's Tuesday, not Wednesday.
Oh, it is Tuesday, not Wednesday. I thought we were doing it on Wednesdays.
Nah, it's been a long week.
It has been a long week, especially after that game Monday night. We got a lot to ground to cover. Basically, we're going to talk about the Chiefs, games, news, notes. We're going to get to some AFC West news, maybe do some game picks. If you got a question or you got a topic or something you want to talk about, drop it in the comments. We'll be happy to post it up there on the screen. First 2 weeks are in the books. Chiefs are 1-1. I expected us to be 2-0 at this point in the season, to be honest. Probably should be 2-0. There's been some good. There's been some bad. Bo, what do you think? What are some of your takeaways or your observations from weeks 1 and 2 against the Browns and the Ravens?
Yeah, man, mostly positive. I mean, obviously that loss to the Ravens was pretty heartbreaking, but I see a lot of good things for us coming up in the future, especially against, some of our near opponents like the Chargers. I think we're gonna do wonders against them. But lots of cover. Going back to that Browns game, man, that was Nick and I were talking earlier. That was a close one. We almost gave them that game. That was pretty unreal.
Yeah, I was at the game. I was at Arrowhead. It was intense, man. Like the stadium. The pregame, the hype, not having fans for over a year or having 20% or 18% capacity, whatever it was. Full throat, 100% sold out. The lead up and the intro and the home of the Chiefs, man, that place was rocking. And then the Browns just came out. We win the coin toss. We defer, and the Browns just marched down, scored touchdown. I think went in with a 12-point lead at halftime, and everybody was kind of looking around each other. It was not, going to plan. Like I think everybody thought it was going to. But
no, not with the offensive weapons that we have. I think everybody was kind of expecting a little bit more. I mean, there was some bad play calling in that first game. Like we went for a field goal instead of going for it when we were in the red zone, fairly close to the goal line. I thought that was kind of a little mistake there, but it is what it is. I mean, I know in this league every point counts. But going back a little bit beyond that, you were saying it earlier, the whole fan experience back full throttle. It made me realize home field advantage is a real thing this year again. You know what I mean? Like last year, it was kind of strange not having anybody that pumped in fan noise through TV. It was so ridiculous, in my opinion. So, I mean, it was just fun to watch the fans, first of all, like you said, for the coin toss, watching them just get amped up. Hearing, like you said, the Chiefs, that whole stadium just echoes. Yeah, loved it. But, yeah, going to the game, man, it's just hard. It's just frustrating because, you have so many offensive weapons. You have so much talent. And then, a couple bad play calls put you in a third and long situation where now all the stress is either on Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, it seems like. So those guys just cover those guys, and the Browns were good to kind of eat them up. But, man, I wanted to talk about that trick play the Browns almost running on us before halftime, because we were talking about halftime already. I mean, it was a 12-point lead going on, but it was almost a 19-point lead. They were doing that little lateral thing. They got all the way down to the 9-yard line, and it was just like, oh, what are we doing, fellas?
Yeah, that was essentially like the Tyreek Hill play against the Cowboys from a few years back, right? Where the Cowboys were all on the goal line expecting us to throw it deep, and we just basically turned it into a punt return with Hill. Hill was still returner at that time a lot, and he just ran it in for a touchdown. So that was a nail biter at the end of the half for sure.
But I mean, we came out strong again, though.
they use that element of surprise because you're thinking Hail Mary from where they're at on the field, and they dump it off short. Kind of like Nick said, like we kind of burned the Cowboys with that same play. But then Tyreek Hill gets the 75-yard touchdown. Place get electric. Chris Jones takes over the game. We get the 3 and out. We get the ball.
Stacks him right. Second play, the next series after that long bomb.
Yep. Then the punter drops the ball. We get short field. Travis Kelce touchdown, and it was over. You knew right then the Browns weren't going to come back and win the game. So that was exciting. Week 2, lots of fireworks against the Ravens. It was kind of the opposite. It was really exciting, and we were having our way with the Ravens until the end of the game. And then the end of the game wasn't so much fun like it was week 1. So almost kind of polar opposites, the 2 games. Like I said, I expect us to be 2-0 to start the season. You take 1-1, I guess. Kind of frustrating the way that second game went down. But what did you all see from the first 2 games that you liked, maybe that you didn't like, Bo?
You know what I really like is I mean, of course, I love our offense, man. We can do the quick strikes so quick. I mean, Patrick Mahomes to Kelce or Hill is such a threat that teams are now having to double team 2 guys and like exposing their defenses to where we're starting to highlight some new players. I mean, Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, they all were getting touchdowns, you know what I mean? Like just simply from that fact alone that we have just 2 amazing threats. That's what I really like. Kind of a one takeaway that I'm not too thrilled about, which would kind of be like, I feel like a common theme in this podcast for sure, but I hope it's not a common theme for the next one, is our run defense. I am not thrilled with how both the Browns and the Ravens were just able to run on us at will, 6-8 yard chunks every single time, no problem. So what about you, Nick?
One of my big takeaways from the first few games is, Mahomes had foot surgery in the offseason. And he, in one of the preseason games, he had some overthrows and he looked a little off. I know we were all at that Vikings preseason game where he was nails. But it doesn't look like he's limited in any way. Coming off of that surgery, he's mobile. He's still Mahomes, which is great. I echo what you say about the run defense. And, for all the hype with the offensive line, I know that they're going to probably take maybe 5 or 6 games to start really gelling. But, I would like to see a little bit better protection and better run blocking, especially from a retooled line. I know it's going to be hard when you have all new starters to make that happen. So, Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, no doubt the run defense is porous. I think they've given up, it's right at or maybe a little over 400 yards combined in the first 2 games.
In 2 games.
You don't need to be a math major to figure that's 200 yards a game. That's not good enough for a championship team.
Not going to do it.
It's just not. Yeah. Especially when you consider, the Ravens are just going to run it, and somewhat so with the Browns. The Browns were mixing in some they were a little more balanced. They were throwing some passes to the tight ends, and they had the one big long play to the guy Schwartz, I think his name was, big 40 or 50 yard gain. They were a little more balanced, a little more dynamic than the Ravens. But the Ravens, they're on like their 5th string running back, and
they have a lot of players hurt over there.
You just know that they're going to run the ball, especially they come out, they throw it on the opening play. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. Now Walker fell down, but he still made the play, pick 6. You're thinking, all right, here we go. And then it was just a steady dose of the run game. Chiefs couldn't stop it. Pretty poor there, no doubt. Andy Reid, he said this week in his press conference that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board on the defense, which after week 2, that's discouraging to hear. But it's brutally honest, and I think maybe that's the coach using the media to send a message to the locker room. But we talked about this the other night. What's the deal with the fumbles and the batted passes at the goal line that turn into touchdowns? I mean,
it's got to be the kingdom curse or something.
the Kingdom Curse, and we put the hit on the guy, the ball flops up in the air. The Ravens guy, one Ravens player there, 4 or 5 Chiefs around, goes right to him. He grabs it and runs it into the end zone. Reminded me of the Marcus Mariota touchdown pass to himself. Reminded me of the Colts fumble touchdown.
Yeah, I've seen that play 3 times in my life.
Yeah, we're 0 for 3 in those games too, right?
The Chiefs.
0 for 3.
Lost every single one of those games too. Yeah, good.
At least this one wasn't a playoff game though.
Right. Yeah. I was looking. The Chiefs, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you've obviously got the most electric, the best quarterback in the league. So the run game should be secondary. But the run game, too, the run defense hasn't been good, but the run offense has not been spectacular or really you think where it needs to be. You know, people always get on me for being a Clyde hater, and maybe I am, and he's a Chief, so I'm never rooting for anybody to suck and not be good, because if he's good, then it's good for the team. But he's in his second year, and we're only 2 games in. But I just don't see the guy make people miss in the backfield. If the blocking isn't there, I don't see him turning -2 into 4, 5 yards, or even 3 or 4, even 2 or 3 or 4 yards. His longest run this year, if you had to guess how long his longest run is this year, what would you guess it is?
9 yards.
14.
Nick got it. 9 yards is his longest run. First 2 games.
Yeah.
His career long is only 31 yards. I don't see the explosiveness. I don't see the burst. I don't see him running through a lot of tackles. If there's not a hole there, he seems to struggle. All you heard about was he was a pass catcher coming out of college at LSU. And Patrick
I think
Mahomes,
you definitely saw that aspect of him in the first 2 games. I mean, as a running back, just that runs to the out and catches the check down. I mean, he does great. I mean, they don't consider that his running. That's why I got the 14 number. I think that was his longest his catch for this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, that's kind of like a solid through point, right? Like it's only been 2 games, not a lot to go off of, but one of them is, definitely run defense and run offense, like you're pointing out. And I don't know. Do we change it up? Do you think we go with CEH again this week? Do we switch it up? Go McKinnon? Do we go Williams? I mean, we have a lot of good running backs. We just don't have. We just don't have like the threat that we used to, like a Kareem Hunt or a Jamal Charles. You know what I mean? Those guys, like you said, like they would turn those -2 into at least 4 yards, or they would have a breakaway play for longer than 20, 30, 40. Heck, they would even run, touchdowns from the other end of the field. So, I feel like that's just one of the throughputs I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I mean, they're going to keep him at the number 1 back. I mean, that's never been their style. If you look at, what's been out in the media, I mean, all the players have been coming out and supporting him and, saying he's not the reason we lost that game. There were lots of, plays we left on the field, which is definitely true, right? So, I mean, he's going to be the number 1 back, at least for the foreseeable future. And it's just really going to be, can they get him enough holes to where he can, last year he was averaging over 4 yards a carry. And if he could get to where he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry, I think that's like enough, right, for us to give like a break to the pass offense, and so the defenses can't just continue to sell out and double Tyreek Hill like on every play like you saw against the Ravens, and maybe get some more men in the box. It worked for us in the Bills game last year when we went to Buffalo. So I mean, I wish that we had like, a Kareem Hunt, like, when Spencer Ware went down and we're like, well, we got this backup guy we drafted. His name's Kareem Hunt. And then he just like destroyed everybody. I wish we had that dude, but I don't think we have that guy waiting in the wings right now. So, I mean, since he can't really, break contact, I think that we're just going to have to get that line to gel a little bit and hope, that we can get a little bit better production out of him.
I'm also wondering if he's like, one of those players that's able. I'm sorry, Scott.
Oh no, you're good. No, it's kind of more even more troubling about his lack of production, though. Is, I mean, we don't have. He's no Kareem Hunt. He's no Jamal Charles. He's not pretty. We've been spoiled with these running backs as Chiefs fans. Top shelf, top 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs in the league. It seems like forever. But even when guys have got hurt and have come back, Sharkandrick Wests and Spencer Wares have come in and were productive and have done more than Clyde Edwards. They're obviously not with the same line. But it just seems like even going back to his days in Philadelphia, the system just churns out. I mean, Westbrook for the Eagles was a beast. I mean, they always had good running backs, and the Andy Reid system is good for them for the position, and he's just not there. But I agree with Nick. There's no way any of those guys, Jerick McKinnon, Darrell Williams, are not going to leapfrog him on the depth chart. I would expect to see a heavy dose of Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the opening drive for the next game, which we'll kind of break down here in a little bit against LA for sure, because they want to build his confidence. He's a first-round draft pick, like it or not. He was Mahomes' guy. I think after the draft, Andy Reid was interviewing Clyde Edwards, and he was having a little fun. He goes, "Hey, man, Patrick picked you, man. That's the guy he wanted." And Clyde Edwards was kind of like, "Whoa," I mean, that's got to feel good knowing that, the league MVP and Super Bowl and, champion quarterback wanted you is the guy. So, Nick, anything else from the first two games you maybe liked, maybe you didn't like?
I mean, lots to like out of Travis Kelce. He's not showing any signs of slowing down. I think that you had it on full display against the Ravens, why he is the best tight end in the NFL. And I don't care what anybody wants to say about anybody else and how much they can or can't block. Travis Kelce is always open, and he can get yards after catch. And, the thing is, he's not even really that fast. When you watch him run, he's not – he almost kind of looks lethargic, but he's just got that rumbling deal going on. And I think he's just really good at avoiding people. Travis.
He's extremely athletic for sure.
Yeah.
He understands positioning to a point where, like you said, he might not be the fastest guy on the field, but he knows where the players are going to move and knows how to make a miss and get those yaks.
Yeah. So I like that. Tyreek had a really great first game, and they doubled him against the Ravens, and so we kind of had to find some other receivers. To be honest, if it's not like Kelce and Mahomes, we don't have like a lot of bright spots right now. And the good news is that we still have like a lot of things going on that are going to, hopefully get better with the run defense and, the offensive line gelling. And, we basically are like one fumble away from being 2-0. So I think there's a tremendous amount of upside for the rest of the season. And, I've been a big supporter of Clyde, and Scott and I watched the games, and Scott has not been a fan of his basically since we drafted him. He's like, "Why do we draft that guy? He's like the 5th best running back in the depth chart." And I don't get that deep into all the draft and all that stuff, but I've been like, he's like serviceable. Like he's not Kareem Hunt, but I told Scott after the Browns game, after watching Chubb and Kareem Hunt, get 4 or 5 yards when like the play kind of broke down. And I know that those guys maybe aren't fair to compare people to, but I just told Scott, I was like, I'm out on Helaire. I'm selling my stock. I'm taking the loss.
I mean, the huge elephant in the room for him is obviously that fumble that kind of spoiled the Ravens game. I mean, we had it, should have been ours, but I mean, hats off to the Ravens. They made a play. You know what I mean? Like that's what you got to do at the end of the day. Yeah. But kind of going back just a little bit, I do agree with you guys. I think that they go with him right out the gates, if anything, just to get his head back in the game because of that fumble. I mean, I could just see him, he's reading the headlines. He's reading what everybody else is saying. He's hearing all the podcasts. He knows. So I think that we should see a heavy workload out of him. But yeah, Travis Kelce, man, I want to play a clip real quick. I mean, this is obviously his insane run that he had against the Ravens, and just kind of I want to go back to him a little bit right after this.
Mahomes gets away, keeps his eyes downfield, and fires and completes it to Kelce. What else is new? And Kelce with blocking inside the 20. Rumbling inside the 10. Look at this. Kelce's in the end zone. Crazy.
I mean, talk about, like I just said again, like body positioning, understanding where guys are coming from, where they're going to be, his anticipation, his athleticism is just unmatched. Like you said, it doesn't come down to who can block better. It's if you can do that, every game, which he does. I mean, that guy is going to be the greatest tight end of all time.
We were watching that when you loaded it before the show started, and the thing that I didn't notice that stuck out to me when I saw it again, there are 4 defenders literally within 2 yards of him when he catches that ball. And he, evades all of them, gets downfield. He obviously picks up a convoy, which is great. But it was body positioning and getting out of the way, to get in the end zone. It was amazing. Just that's one that's going to exist in the memory banks of Chiefs fans and NFL fans probably for the next decade.
That's going to be on his highlight reel for life, man. I mean, there's a couple other Travis Kelce plays that are pretty memorable, like when he caught it, did the flick back and everything like that. But that one was just sheer tenacity right there.
Yeah, he had a sick catch against the Raiders. I want to say, was it last year or the year before last? In the end zone when they still had the dirt infield. It was over the shoulder, and Mahomes dropped the ball right over 2 defenders, and the dude ate dirt sliding around the ground for the touchdown. He does. The thing about him is he's so big. He's faster than you think he is. You just usually don't see someone that big that's that agile and that fast. So when he's on the field running, he doesn't look like the cheetah, and I'm not saying he's gonna hang with the cheetah on a 40-yard dash, but the dude is faster than you think. I mean, you evade 7 tacklers and run away from guys. I mean, he's running away from linebackers on that play that were trying to make the play. You look at fastest player and fastest tight end in the NFL to 8,000 yards. He's second most 100-yard games. You look up and down the NFL record books. He's only tied in with 4 or 5 seasons straight, 1,000 yards receiving. He's got 100 catches every year. There are wide receivers that would kill to have his numbers. So, yeah, you can save me the George Brittle talk, and you can save me all these the Gronk talk. Gronk was hot for a few years, and it looks like maybe he's rejuvenated a little bit in Tampa, but he's not the player he was. Travis Kelce's going to pass him in all those records. And when you look in the record books for the position of tight end, when it's all said and done, at the end of Kelce's career, it's going to be, number one. It's going to be insane. The guy's rewriting what's possible for the position. You always got the era time. Tight ends back in the day weren't passed to. They weren't used as much in the game. But so what?
Tony Gonzalez,
they played 16 games. Now they're at 17 games. If you're number one, there's a lot of players that have played in this era that aren't number one in every category.
Especially in that position, in the past 20 years, we can name so many great players in that position, from like Wintons to, like I just said, Antonio Gonzalez's and stuff. You know what I mean? And now in the league, they're all out there, and he still stands out above the rest. And it's funny to me that the argument comes between Travis Kelce, or actually we've been saying it wrong this whole time, guys. Travis Kelce and George Kittle. It's funny that it comes down to those two because they leave out Rob Gronkowski, who I think he's the only tight end that has 2 or 3 more records that Kelce's coming right after. And I just see Kelce.
I just want to know what's Kelce trying to run from? He's changing the way he pronounces his name. He's shaving his beard. Who's he trying to fool?
That's funny.
I don't know. The whole name thing, man, it's Travis Kelce. I don't care if his mom comes to me and tells me it's Kelce. I'm going to call him Travis Kelce. Sounds better. It's what he's always been called. I don't know, maybe he was trying to troll some people. It was funny. Even players on social media were like, what?
We're calling him by his wrong name this whole time.
I've been calling him the wrong name for I think Tyreek Hill. So I've been calling him the wrong name for 4 years.
That's funny, man.
Yeah. We've got, I talked about the Chiefs sitting there 1-1. They're a game ahead of the Chargers, who are also 1-1. Somehow, the Ponies and the Faders are 2-0. Are you two surprised by the start with the in-division rivals? Is it just still one of those things where it's too early? It's 2 games. They've played a weaker schedule, obviously, than the Chiefs have played. They haven't played the Ravens and the Browns. They finished, in the middle of the back of the division last year, so they got a little bit of a weaker schedule. Nick, what do you think?
I mean, the Raiders surprised me. They played a game against the Ravens where it was like a Canadian standoff. It's like, you win the game, no, you win the game, trying to hand it off, to each other. And then they, the Steelers, which I watched the Bills Steelers game. The Steelers don't look very good, so it didn't surprise me they won that. And then, I'm not that impressed by either of the Broncos wins. They've got Bridgie Treadwater, their quarterback. He's not going to take you anywhere. He might hold you. He's serviceable, but he's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. So it's surprising, right? If I had bet money on it, I wouldn't bet that that they would be on top and that the Chargers and the Chiefs would be behind them. But I just think that it's a 17-game season and it's 2 games in, and it's nice for the Raiders and the Broncos fans that they at least have a couple of weeks where they can say, hey, remember when we were winning the division that year? That was cool. And then we didn't, but that was fun for those 4 weeks. So
and we get to chime in. Yeah, that was week 2, 3, right?
Yeah. I remember my first year.
Dude, I don't give a damn about the Broncos and the Raiders fans. Their teams could go 0-17. I don't give a damn about them.
It's always surprising to me when they are winning. So the fact that they started off 2-0 was just a bit of a shocker to me. Especially against the Ravens. The Ravens are a good team, as we found out. They might be a little bit of a one-trick pony, but that pony's pretty good. So hats off to them, I guess, for that one game. I'm with Nick on the other one. Wasn't a surprise there. But the AFC West is looking, to me, really tough, man. You got Justin Herbert in San Diego, or I guess LA now. The Raiders with their 2 wins, or not, yeah, their 2 wins. The Broncos looking good. All right, excuse me, flip those. You know what I mean? But I think they're looking really tough. Everybody always game plans for the Chiefs anyway. And for some reason, we let AFC West division games get in our head. So I'm just a little bit nervous about they're coming out strong. We're not coming out so strong, but man, at the end of the day, we got number 15 and number 87. We got a whole arsenal, number 10. So I'm not too worried about the AFC West.
Yeah, their fans print the T-shirts. Week 2 co-division champions if they want to. They're not going to be there at the end of the year. They're not. The Broncos, who have they beaten?
They beat was it Jaguars?
Yeah, the Jaguars, who are Jesus. The Jaguars got smoked by the Tyrod Taylor Houston Texans, who a lot of people were expecting to be 0-17 this year, and we're tanking to try to get the number 1 overall pick so they could trade Watson with all the mess that he's got going on in the background with him. Jaguars are freaking terrible. They suck. So, yeah, they're fattening up here in the first 2 weeks against bad competition.
Yeah, strength of schedule is a real thing, but there's that any given Sunday type thing too.
And the Giants. Sorry, guys. They beat the Giants and the Jaguars. Go ahead, Bo.
Oh, okay. There it is.
Yeah, Giants and Jags.
Couple tomato cans.
Yeah, the only 2 teams that wouldn't be 2-0 that schedule is the Giants and the Jags, right? Everybody else would beat those 2 teams. yeah, they suck. Teddy Bridgewater, like Nick said, he can be serviceable, but over the course
it will be interesting to see those 2 teams go up against some better teams. I kind of laugh at myself, and I'm like, yeah, let's see him play the Browns, because I've just lived in an era where the Browns were never good, and now you got to get that out of your head, because they are a formidable opponent, that's for sure. And yeah, man, I feel like most teams, when they see Kansas City come across their schedule, that's where all their focus goes. They game plan the heck out of us. I'm pretty certain the Browns threw their whole kitchen sink at us, and that's pretty much going to ruin the rest of their season, because that was all their good plays. You know what I mean? They were showing everything off just to try to beat us. So it might ultimately hurt them, but at the end of the day, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, and every year people pick the Chargers, right? To be, that's the team that's going to upset the Chiefs, and there they are sitting in 4th place right now at 1-1. The Chiefs are in 3rd place at 1-1.
There was some ESPN pundit that picked Justin Herbert to win MVP this year, and you're just like, at him out of all the NFL, that's who you're going for, really?
Clicks. That's all that is.
It's got to be.
Well,
right?
I mean, Justin Herbert had a fine season in his rookie year, but there's the sophomore slump a lot of the times with these guys that you see.
That's a real
obviously
thing.
Patrick Mahomes didn't have that problem because he's not human. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. I'm really wanting to see what happens when the Chiefs we get to go up against the Chargers here coming up. So Patrick Mahomes, the highlight machine, Mr. Highlights, as Bo likes to call him. That play where, and I said this, I think I tweeted out on Twitter and was talking to Nick during the game with you guys about it. That dude makes so many highlight plays that would be career highlight plays for so many other quarterbacks in the league. He makes plays every week that it almost takes away from the awesomeness of Patrick Mahomes, because you come to expect it, and you see that touchdown pass to DeMarcus Robinson where he kind of like shimmies up into the pocket and throws that dime to DeMarcus Robinson in the back of the end zone. He wasn't wide open.
No, not at all.
He's on the move. He throws that dime in there. It's crazy. It's insane how good the guy is.
Not only is he moving up in the pocket, but you're saying he threw a dime. It drops in over the receiver's left shoulder. Or the defender's left shoulder. He never even saw it. Right into Marcus Robinson's hands. You know what I mean? Like, I think I have that here. Let's play Mahomes' opening drive, because I mean, like you said, he has so many highlights that, like, yeah, you kind of lose the mystique when you see it play in and play out, and you kind of expect it from the guy, but it is play in and play out. This guy is just amazing. So here, let me run this a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more.
The whole line go to the right side. Mahomes went to the left. Now on the roll, he throws. That is caught. He's in there tonight. Mahomes steps up in the pocket, avoids the rush, throws, and that's caught. And that's Hardman again. And Hardman is out of bounds near midfield. The guy pulled in. Quick throw out to Kelsey, gets a block, and gets taken down after he picks up a first. The wideouts providing the blocking for him. Mahomes feels that pocket deep downfield into the end zone, juggled and caught for a touchdown. DeMarcus Robinson.
It doesn't look good sometimes.
Yeah, all those plays, there's no traditional, you stand there, hey, I mean, I think he had one quick out to Kelsey, but even then, like, God, it was just on point. The kid is too good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you watch it, it looks like you're watching Madden or something, because it doesn't look like the ball should be able to, I mean, on that last pass, it didn't look like the ball should have been able to travel that far based on how he threw it. Right, how he dropped it in the bucket to Hardman while he's running. I mean, it is truly incredible. And I guess the thing that I try to do is just try to not become numb to it. Right, just because we've seen bad quarterback play for so long, and I know that we had Alex Smith, right, and he was a great quarterback. I'll call him a great quarterback. I know that a lot of people in Kansas City were ready to see him go when we traded him. But if you think about some of the people that we've trotted out, Damon Heward and those guys, I mean, to go back to me back then and say, hey, look, but you're going to have this guy. I just wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed that we were going to have that quarterback on the team ever in my lifetime.
There was a point when we did. I'm sorry, Scott.
Game, right? The Steelers game where he threw the 6 touchdown passes.
Yeah,
it just felt so good to go into that stadium and just kick their ass. I hate the Steelers almost as much as I hate the Raiders and the Broncos. Not gonna lie, they're one of those dirty trash organizations up there with the Ravens. I can't stand them. And he had that hot start that first year as a starter, and he just went into Heinz Field and lit up that defense, and the defense even kind of blew it, which was kind of foreshadowing for that season, right? But blew the 28 or the 21-point lead, and then he just goes down and throws 3 more touchdown passes and wins the game. And ever since then, it's just been like storybook, right? I mean, everything. You look at this dude's numbers, and first to this benchmark, it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has set this record for most 300-yard games in a quarterback's first 50 games and most touchdown passes. He just passed Kurt Warner and Dan Marino for the most yards and touchdown passes in his first 50 games. Oh, and by the way, he's only played 47 games. The dude, it's just it's almost doesn't even seem real.
There was a point in time where we had, like Trent Green and all these Alex Smith, even all these quarterbacks where they would get back in the pocket, they'd look downfield and they would throw it. And if I was watching that game and I couldn't see the receiver he was throwing to, I had so much anxiety built up. Like, oh my God, where's it going? Who's he throwing it to? That is all Green. Mahomes.
Trent Green's first year, it was like always a pick.
Yeah, you just never knew where it was going, who he was throwing it to. You know what I mean? But like when Patrick Mahomes sits there and he's about to sling one, it's going right to his player. You know what I mean? The only time he's like really messed up in my eyes is when he's like heavily under pressure. Or there's like 4 guys right on him. Then he might make a slightly errant throw. But I mean, look at last year's Super Bowl. I mean, he was running for his life, but he's still throwing dimes 45 yards away. Horizontal, you know what I mean? With the guy tackling him at his feet. Like it's just unreal. Yeah. Like I like what Nick said. Like I try not to get too comfortable with it because I just got to appreciate what we have. I mean, first time in Chiefs history, we have such a dominant quarterback. And it makes me happy to be a Chiefs fan.
God bless you, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And happy birthday. His birthday was last week.
So since we're it was nice.
If you happen to watch, happy birthday, Patrick.
Exactly, right? When this comes across your feed.
You can come on anytime.
Yeah.
In honor of his.
Said, hey, Patrick, you need to come on Kingdom Cast. So there must be something wrong with my phone or my Twitter because he hasn't responded yet. But I'm gonna give it Twitter tech support and see what's going on with that. Because we got to get Patrick on the show. So look like.
Well, since we're just kind of, looking at this guy, how good he is, let's look at that Ravens game again because there's some other – this is like not the second or third drive. This is our second scoring drive. But I just want to check out some of his mobility and just some of the unorthodox plays he makes. Sorry to cut you off there, Scott.
No, you're fine.
Kicked down to the 2-minute warning. It's caught by the tight end, Kelsey. Field goal by 1-minute warning from the 40-yard line. Mahomes sidearms it. See, this is actually Blake Bell. Bell to the 20-yard. To the outside quickly. Jerk McKinnon makes the catch, stays in bounds. It gets to Mahomes has hit 7 different receivers in the half and thrown for 179. Williams, and he will take it in. So the Chiefs.
I left that scoring play in not to take away from Mahomes, but just to show how. Because he was so threatening that entire drive, the entire offense, when they saw those tight ends come back across on the motion, like it faked their whole team out. I mean, that kid's such a threat. He's got defenses just clueless. I love him.
Yeah, I mean, his 300-yard games in his sleep. He's already over 600 yards passing, and it's only 2 games into the season. I mean, how many yards and touchdowns is this dude going to throw for with an extra game?
Right.
And maybe the 1-1 start – I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but maybe that means they have to play in week 18, right? It'd be week 18 this year, 17 games in the bye week to week 17. You look at some of his numbers, and the dude doesn't even play the last game.
Yeah, exactly.
On the bench.
They're resting him because they know he's going to the playoffs 3 years in a row. But, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's doing that a game shy. I'd be curious to see if, we put ourselves in a position where he has to play every single game. I hope we don't, but.
Yeah.
Yep. And probably the most surprising thing to me about the season, I know we're going backwards here, is that we didn't win that game. I mean, when, I'm so accustomed to I told, Patrick got the ball and we had 3 minutes left on the clock. And I was just like, oh, you screwed up, Ravens. You left way too much time and we're going to go down. And I was hoping we'd go for the touchdown, right. And try to get 6. And then, obviously we all know how it ended. We didn't go for the touchdown. Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah, I text you all. I was just like, I hope we don't score too fast here. I mean, yeah, you gave Patrick Mahomes 3 minutes. That's too much time. We could have scored with a minute on the clock. You know what I mean? But yeah, we ran into some trouble.
Yeah, Patrick said after the game they were playing for the field goal because the Ravens only had one timeout. And I want to say there was 90 seconds maybe at that point. So they could have gotten a first down or even not got a first down. Just if Clyde can hang on to the ball, force the Ravens use their last timeout, then they can run another play. They could have ran that thing down next to nothing. But
yeah, 15 seconds left. It would have been a tough squeeze to try to march down and score because it wouldn't have been a field goal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had enough talking about the end of the Ravens game, to be honest with you. So,
well, on to better and brighter things then. Like we have next week coming up against the Chargers. What are you guys feeling about that game?
It's at home, right? So hopefully it's a week for us to get right. Unfortunately, the defense is, going from AFC contender to contender. This week they have Justin Herbert, who I think is probably the best younger quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes from just the eye test, right? I'm not an X's and O's guy, but just the way that you can see him throw the ball. He's a pure passer and he's accurate. I think, if I was starting a team and I had to pick him over, or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, I'd probably pick Herbert just because I think he has the most upside. So the good news is that I think our pass defense has looked better than our run defense. So hopefully, a team that's a more pass oriented offense, we can put up a better showing and really hopefully the coaches really dug into those defensive players and say, hey, look, I don't believe that there's that much talent difference in the NFL, right? Like a couple of guys here and there, right? Your Mahomeses and stuff, obviously, but when you're talking about like a group of defensive players, right? Like I don't think that the talent level is that much greater that we should be playing like we are, and I think it's just coaching and the guys staying on assignment, doing all that stuff. So hopefully they have a better showing, and Patrick is going to be pissed, and I think that that will lead to the Chiefs winning. I think we probably win by 7 points, probably not a 2-score game because I think LA is really good. So.
Yeah, they lost to the Cowboys this last week, which I don't know what you think about the Cowboys. I don't think they're all that great. I don't think their defense is very good. The Chargers, Eckler is dealing with an injury thing, so it'll be interesting to see there. When healthy, he's a more than formidable running back, which is a bit scary. But the Chiefs, I feel personally that loss, it was driving me crazy hearing it all week too. People talk about it. It's like, oh, well, maybe that's a good loss as a wake-up call and as a motivator. The Chiefs are beyond needing wake-up call losses to get motivated. But I do think that they are going to come out, and they're going to come out pissed, and they're playing at home. They're going to have the Arrowhead crowd behind them again. I don't know what the Chargers can do. You saw what happened when you tried to just take away Tyreek Hill. Okay, well, we'll just throw it to Travis Kelce, and we got Demarcus Robinson and Hardman. We've got guys that can step up, make them a little bit more honest. That's on tape now. That it's like, well, yeah, you can take Tyreek Hill out of the thing, and Travis Kelce's going to get 100 yards and a touchdown. And the Chiefs are still there. I know they only put up 28 points on offense because they did have the defensive touchdown. But really, if we're being honest, they left points on the field with some poor plays. And Patrick Mahomes, far be it for me to criticize St. Patrick, but with the turnover they had there, the ball had a chance to go up. I think it would have been 42-24. I think they were up by 11, had a chance to go up 18. Perhaps their focus is a little tighter. Perhaps the defense. Tyrann Mathieu said during the week it's kind of good sometimes to get your ass whipped a little bit. So maybe they take that personally. I would like to think this team is beyond needing a loss and needing to get dominated and out physicaled and outplayed to be motivated, but it couldn't. I mean, it couldn't hurt, right?
Right. I personally think this is all going to come down to our run defense. I mean, it's kind of been the throughput here. If we can get that together, just hold them to a couple more 3-and-outs than just one a game. That's really helpful. I mean, our passing defense is pretty spot on. I mean, we've got the Honey Badger and Thornhill back there and Dirty Dan. I've really liked what they've done so far in these first 2 games, but I'd really like to see the defense run game step it up a little bit, plug up some holes. It kind of leads me to talk about Chris Jones a little bit. I absolutely love the guy, but I don't understand why they keep moving him around and confusing the shit out of him. Let's just put him on the inside, stop that run game, let him be the threat that he is, and I'll get back to the winning team that we were the past 2.5 years ago. I'm not sure why they're moving him to the outside too much. I feel like that's affected our run game a lot, our run defense game a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're trying to get a better pass rush, right? You saw like Baker Mayfield had all day to throw. And so I think that
we're bringing 5.
Yeah, and I think they're just trying to get a little bit of an edge there. He did get a sack, right, at a pretty big moment in the game against Mayfield. But I agree. I mean, he's so disruptive in the middle of the line. And, I mean, he set an NFL record for consecutive games with a sack from the interior of the line. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm a big fan of, like, if it ain't broke, like, don't fix it, right? I mean, if the dude is balling and he's kicking ass, why are you moving him somewhere else, right? Because you don't like his replacement that's replacing him on the interior of the line is not nearly as good, so I agree with you 100% there, Bo. I'd like to see them, move him to the inside. But the problem there is I think he's slimmed down quite a bit. I think he's lost, 15 or 20 pounds or something to prepare
too small to be on the inside now.
Well, I mean, yeah, because he's prepared for being, an edge rusher. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see them try. It can't get any worse, right? It can't get any worse than giving up 200 and plus rush yards a game. And we did go up against 2 of the best rushing teams in the league. So I'm not saying that every team can do that, but it's
going to try.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher. I mean, I didn't understand it when they said it. It's like, well, he's like one of the best at his position. What are we doing, Scotty? You have any positive views on moving Chris Jones?
I mean, if he needs to gain some weight to get back in the middle of the line, Gates Barbecue 3 days a week is on me.
Equally important, man.
Stone Cold. You send us DM me on Twitter at this Mr. Rogers. I'd be happy to take you out, get you some barbecue, and get you back in the middle of that line. I don't know. I think he wants to play defensive end, and maybe that's some of the impetus. What to get him out there. Frank Clark has been ever since that playoff run where he just absolutely destroyed people. And God bless him. I don't think we win that Super Bowl without Frank Clark. So I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Frank Clark too much. But to me, I just don't understand. It seems like edge rushers, you see every year there's new good young edge rushers that teams get in the draft. And I think most fans could name 2 or 3 good edge rushers for every one really dominant defensive tackle. It seems like that position, finding somebody that is as good and as explosive and that will get in and interfere and disrupt and blow up an offensive line like Chris Jones is harder to find. So why you would move him to the outside just – and like Nick said, I'm not the biggest film breakdown person. I'm not an NFL scout. I'm just a fan that sits on his ass and watches the games.
We all are.
Up there, the section 304 and on the couch at home. So maybe I'm talking out of school here, but it just seems like having him in the middle, not only is he better in the middle and more comfortable in the middle, it seems like that position's harder to fill than edge. I mean, Am I wrong there? Do you guys think I'm
No,
off base?
I do agree with you. And like I said, I feel like he was just such a dominant force on the inside. Like it was unmistakable, like when he was in the game versus when he wasn't, when he was playing on the inside. Now you're like, oh yeah, he was in on that play, didn't really do much. And you saw it in the Ravens game. They highlighted it. I mean, Chris Collinsworth's pretty good at doing that. Just highlighted how confused he was being in a new position, and like Lamar Jackson took care of that. I mean, I just don't feel like that's the game you want him on the outside trying to catch that guy. I mean, he's so fast. You know what I mean? I think you got to just do more. Again, I'm not a coach. I'm not going to sit here and say what we should have done. I was going to go down that road, but I'm going to catch
game
myself.
6, like they'll make us
say
look
whatever
stupid.
you want, Bo. This is America, man.
Yeah.
You sit there and criticize and say whatever you want.
You're right.
You're an idiot, right?
I mean, but just to witness how productive and how much of a force he was last year, to see him kind of like not be that. I mean, it's still early. 2 games isn't not catching your stride by any means in 2 games, but I hope we see a turnaround out of our defense in that aspect too. Just Chris Jones kind of stepping up, not only as just like the force he was, but also like as a voice, like getting those other guys riled up, getting them pumped up to do what he does as well.
Yeah, that first game against the Browns, there was a lot of that there towards the end of the game. You could see him down there, and he was, come on, man.
You see it when he gets fired up, everybody else gets fired up. The stadium starts getting rocking. Yeah. I mean, it's noticeable. He's not only a force on the field, but like with the fans, everything. You know what I mean? Right. He'll get that stadium up to whatever that decibel level is.
For sure. Yeah, him and Patrick are the ones that get the crowd the most amped during the game. Anybody that goes knows that. So,
are they still measuring the decibel level there at Arrowhead? Do they do that for the games?
No. Well, I don't know.
Obviously not last year.
They did the record thing, and they had Guinness Book out there. So I always like to judge the crowd noise off of is the stadium shaking or not? Like that's
yeah.
You have a rowdy crowd if you're in the upper section and you can feel the concrete. It's a little unnerving, but it's also pretty badass at the same time. And it was definitely rocking for that game. So good to see just the crowds back at the games and people out there enjoying themselves and tailgating. And, yeah, the Chargers going to be coming into a hornet's nest again this coming week. I won't be out there for this game. But, it's going to be buzzing. It's going to be live. Chiefs are got to be pissed from that last loss. Even if they weren't pissed already, they're going to be even more pissed now. So I don't need – Chargers, they've got a long road to hoe coming in here. Anything else you all are looking forward to? Do you think maybe Tyreek Hill, who I don't want to say he got locked down in the Ravens game because he still made some
I'll say
plays.
it. He got locked down. He had 3 catches.
Teams, you're making it easier on other guys. But what do you think you see the Cheetah kind of get back to form this week?
Yeah, dude, I honestly see our coaches game planning for that. I mean, you see how devastating it is not to use them. And then when you do start using them, you see how many defensive players it takes to cover them. So, I mean, I see Reed and Bieniemy and everybody kind of putting their heads together and being like, all right, if it's just slants and outs, you know what I mean? Like I see them throwing like, 4 or 5 times as many as they did to him during this Ravens game, which is not saying that much because he only got 3, but I could see him just like trying to get on the ball quick, get people jumping on that line, and then use his speed, go down deep. There's just no way you can't use him. I mean, I know people are going to try to double team him, but like you got to plan for that too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, right? I mean, I think that if any defensive coordinator can look at what the Ravens did and say, okay, are we willing to burn an extra guy just to keep that 75-yard touchdown from happening that, basically turned the Browns game? They'll probably try to do that. I do think that Hill is the level of talent, though, that he can still beat double coverage, right? So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I didn't watch like all 22 or anything to see if he was getting open and, just Patrick wasn't getting him the ball. But, I mean, he can catch 50-50 balls 80% of the time, right? I mean, like I just think that if he has any edge on the guys that are around him, they should try to get him the ball. He's just that dangerous. But I'll take open Travis Kelce all day.
Yeah, so, me too. Right, double team him.
Fair trade.
Number 87.
you can't double team both of them.
And then, like I said earlier, like I like how when they do double team them and they try to send an extra guy on Kelce too, it opens up Hardman, Pringle, Robinson, and those guys all kind of shown a little bit last game, catching balls, making plays. I mean, they kind of stepped up to the plate. Didn't see any of those guys drop balls that were like costly too many. I just saw a couple bad play calls that I feel like should have gotten more yards than just trying to run out some flat plays, but. Too much of a dominant force to leave him out of the game.
Yeah, Andy Reid's got to figure out a way. I don't care if you triple team him to get him. Just all the dude needs is an inch, man. He only need with his speed and his.
They didn't even run a jet sweep though. I don't think.
Direction. They got to figure out a way because really, yeah, Robinson and these other guys are good, but that's the big three: Travis and Patrick and the Cheetah.
Yeah,
and you'd like to say that, we got 3 Tyreek Hills, but we're the only team in the league that has 1 Tyreek Hill, so you're not going to have 3 of him. You got to figure out a way to get him open. To me, seems like a prideful guy too, so I think he's going to probably be disappointed in himself if he was being honest with you in kind of his performance in this game. Not that he wouldn't be happy for the other guys. He was down the field blocking on that Travis Kelce long touchdown catch that we showed the replay of earlier. So there's more to it than just catching 75-yard touchdowns. Which, did you see that stat that they put out this week? The most 75-yard or longer touchdowns in the league since the Cheetah came in. He had twice as many as second place. Dude.
Who was second place?
He had 10 or 11, and second place was 5. And I'm trying to think of who second place was now, and I can't think of it.
Oh, it's no big deal, but that's hilarious. Double.
Damn it. But yeah, it was twice. He had 10. You think about how hard it is to score a 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
It's
well, when you got Patrick Mahomes throwing it to you, it's not that hard if you're that fast. You've seen some of the there's memes. It. He's down there somewhere.
Right.
He is, man. He'll come back 20 yards for it. He'll go up 20 yards for it. Like Nick said, he'll win that 50. He'll make a 50-50 ball, a 55-45 ball easily in his favor.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it against the Texans? Was that last year or was that the year before where he was down by the goal line? He had 2 defenders around him, and he out-jumped them and came down with the ball and then, out-muscled them into the end zone. The dude doesn't get enough credit. He's fast. No. He's got the Cheetah speed. No doubt about it. He's the fastest player in the league, but his route running and his ability to change direction and to jump and high point balls and catch, like you said, contested, passes that a lot of people would say are 50-50 balls. The dude's a freak. He doesn't get enough credit. He doesn't get enough respect. I love the Cheetah. I can't think of a player more electric. Maybe go back Dante Hall with some of his return game stuff.
Right.
I can't think of anybody.
The X factor. Yeah. I can't either. Not in that position anyway.
Deshawn Jackson, maybe. In his prime, he was a speedster and he made some big, long, and explosive plays. But I still don't know that he was on Tyreek's level.
Yeah.
Maybe prime time. Deion Sanders back in his prime.
So, Scotty, what are you picking for the score for the Chargers game?
I think the Chiefs score 40 this week. I do. I predicted them to. It was funny. I picked 42-24 for the last game, and the Chiefs had the ball with a chance to make it 42-24 in the fourth quarter. I'm gonna go. I don't think they're gonna fix the defense though over in 1 week. Overnight. So I see the Chargers, the mid to high 20s. I'm going to say 41-31 Chiefs. What do you got, Bo?
It's interesting. We've scored over 30 points in both games already. You know what I mean? So I feel like we're not going to come or slack on that department by any means. I feel like we're going to come out strong. I don't know. 40's 40 is a big number. I was thinking more like 35. I'm going to say 35-28. I mean, the Chargers seem to hang around. But I see us outscoring them by at least one for sure.
Well, I'll go 38-31 then, because I picked 7 points. And I think we have to score 30 right now to win any game. So I don't foresee us holding anybody below 28 points for the, at least for the next 2 to 3 games.
Not with this run defense, that's for sure.
Especially not Herbert, but I mean the Chargers, like, sometimes it's the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like they still lose close games. So
yeah, they hang around.
Yeah. So nice.
Yeah, that was the Chargers. They lost to the Cowboys on a last-second field goal, right, last week. So, but again, the Cowboys got some decent players, but I don't think their defense is all that. I think if you're in a dogfight with the Cowboys and it's not one of those things where Dak is going unreal, throwing for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns or whatever, I don't think that's a team you should be really in that close of a game against. The Buccaneers, they scored some points on the Buccaneers and the Buccaneers defense, but that's week 1. It's hard to take a read from that. Final thoughts before we get out of here. We're at about an hour. Nikki, what do you think? Anything?
Well, for all the people out there listening, I'd like to give a shout out to Mom. She took her last radiation treatment today out of her course. So go, Mom. You're inspirational. Thoughts and wishes with you. The lasting effects of it don't take too long to go away. I think that it's weird to feel this bad about being 1-1, and so it feels weird to lose. I was thinking about that, right? Like it felt weird to lose, which, god dang, that's a good spot to be in.
That's a great spot to be in.
Like we're like, like other teams are like, how are we going to blow it? And I couldn't believe that we didn't win. I mean, I had so much faith that he was going to pull it out, and he did. And Patrick got us down there, right? No problem at all. Got us in position. And we were going to run out the clock, and then that was all she wrote. Thanks for playing the Patrick Mahomes game, but you lose again 0-4, and then unfortunately it didn't end that way. But so I think we're in a good spot. I think that this team is still the team to beat in the AFC. It sucks that we lost, potential tiebreaker against the Ravens, but I think that we're still going to be, number 1, number 2 seed. My faith isn't shaking them at all at this point. So on to you, Bo.
Yeah, same thing. I just a little in disbelief we were 1-1. I had so much hope of an undefeated season, both preseason and the post, as everybody was talking that hype, including the kid himself. So it's a little disappointing that's not the case, but hey, we're 1-1. That's fine. Well, if we go 16-1, or that's what it's going to be this year, I'll be okay with that. But some takeaways, man. Like I said, I love our offense right now. I think we're on full throttle. I would love to see them, kind of put teams away. For some reason, we just can't stomp the piss out of a team. We let them just hang around by 1 or 2 scores. Like we should be blowing them out by 3 to 5 scores. And then lastly, I was going to say something about the refs, but I'll kind of keep it on a positive note. I just hope the refs get their games together. They have so much technology and so much at their disposal. I hope they use it. I hope they would. I just hope they pick up their game a little bit more too, because, man, they're frustrating. They're affecting way too many games this year already.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Bo, never hesitate to disparage or trash talk the referees on this show. Referee disrespect is always welcome, my man.
Well, I mean, Nick's outro was so nice, saying hi to Elaine and everything. I didn't want to just sit here and be like, "F the refs."
No, I'm okay with that. I'll allow it. Those calls against Matthew were BS, man.
some of those calls in that Ravens game, that illegal contact. But I mean, even on the same boat, the refs calling against the Ravens an illegal man downfield for getting pushed a yard downfield. I still thought that was bullshit. Cost the Ravens 2 extra points, which I wasn't like mad about. But I mean, when I'm talking about the refs, like, God, they're just blowing some major calls here. That illegal contact on Tyrann Mathieu still blows my mind. In my mind, it changed the momentum of the game, gave them a new first down. Our defense was finally coming to a head a little bit. We had just had a 3-and-out. I feel like a series or two before that, and just completely changed the outcome of the game almost. So, refs, get your shit together.
Counterfactual. If they had got that 2-point conversion, they would have been up by 3, and then we probably would have been going for the touchdown there at the end.
Yeah, I would like to think that, but man, Andy Reid's proved in the past he's a pretty conservative coach. There's times where he goes through it, but I feel like that early in that situation, he would have went for overtime.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So,
but who knows? That's a crystal ball.
Scotty, final thoughts?
Yeah, 1-1's disappointing. This is the first time the Chiefs haven't had a share of the lead or the outright lead in the division since the end of 2016. That's 5 years ago. Digest that for a little bit. Think about how crazy that stat is. And it just shows how dominant and how good this team has been the last few years. And it does feel weird to lose because you're spoiled because you take away the Chargers game that they lost at the end of last year where we weren't playing any of our starters. And really the Super Bowl, the Raiders game, and the Texans game.
That's it.
I mean, that in the NFL to do that is just absolutely nuts. And it just goes to show how good this team is. Don't jump off the cliff. They're going to be okay. We did ourselves a favor by beating the Browns week 1. If you would have told me, at the start of the season, who do you think, or if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, who are the biggest threats in the AFC, I would have said the Bills and the Browns. And all 3 of those teams are all 1-1. We have the tiebreaker over the Browns. I think the Browns, it's disappointing to lose to the Ravens because I want to beat the Ravens because I don't like the Ravens, and you want to keep your foot on them and you want to stay the kryptonite. But I feel the Browns are going to win that division. So I think the Chiefs are going to win the division. I think even if you do face the Ravens again, it's one of those situations where they're a wild card and you're a division winner. Maybe you even, you can still secure the bye week with the win over the Browns because it doesn't go off just the record. So get back in the winning column this week against the Chargers. Like Bo said, it'd be nice I'm guessing a 10-point win. It would be beautiful to just come out, play a complete game, put up a bunch of points on the board, and, it doesn't matter. Maybe if the Chargers score 30, if we can score 45 or more, you're still a blowout, and the defense has a week to get better and kind of mask that deficiency a little bit. So looking forward to the game this weekend. If you enjoyed the show, if you tuned in, we thank you. We're obviously just fans here talking the games. Love to have you come in, drop your comments. If you enjoy the show, you want to support, hit that subscribe button at the bottom, turn on the notifications, follow us at Kingdom Cast Pod on Twitter. If you got show suggestions, whatever, this is an all-inclusive thing here. It's just for fans by the fans. So with that, until next Tuesday at 6 o'clock Kingdom time, we'll catch you then. Go Chiefs!
Go Chiefs!
How about those Chiefs?